All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Community Connect webinar organized by Teacher Horizons. I'm Kavi, I'm the Community Growth Manager here. Our webinar today is about insider strategies, navigating and landing your next international role. And today is December 6, 2023. Thank you all for joining. We really hope that you'll find this session valuable. We have a lot of different parts in the webinar and it's going to be really engaging. As we start, because people still settle in and there's some people still joining in for the 1 or 2 minutes, if you don't mind, start writing in the chat, what do you want to achieve in your next international move? Perfect. Thank you for indulging in this question and sharing your thoughts in the chat. Gets to know the people who are attending today and makes us feel closer to you as well. Moving on, I just need to click on this. Yeah, there we go. Moving on, we have a Zoom poll. This is something we like to do in the beginning, and some of the questions are fun questions, some of the questions are related to international teaching, and the poll happens right in Zoom. It's just going to come up right in front of you on your screen, and you just do the poll for 2-3 minutes. And Nicole will take up from here, and she'll be talking you through the poll and launching it. Did you already launch it?
Yep, it's ready. Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. I'm the Ambassador Growth and Network Manager here at Teacher Horizons. So lovely to meet you. Thanks for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, this night, wherever you are. There should be a poll that's come up for you. So if you just navigate to more and then you should be able to see it. So the first question, thanks everybody for playing with us. That was a lovely bit of fun for a Wednesday. All right, back over to you, Kavi.
Thank you, Nicole. Thanks everyone for joining the poll. Just a couple of logistical things before we continue. If you can turn your camera on, please do so. We really like to see everyone's faces who's joining so we can feel connected to everyone. Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to share. And now it's time to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Katie, and I will let her introduce herself, what she does, her position as Teacher Horizons, her experience a little bit, and then she will take on from here and we will be sharing some really useful, hopefully valuable insights for you related to the topic, which is insider strategies, navigating and landing your next international role. Over to you, Katie.
Thank you, Kavi, and thanks, Nicole, for running that poll. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm based in Lisbon, have been working with Teacher Horizons for several years as an advisor, and during that time I've spoken to hundreds of teachers. I wear many hats, and while doing Teacher Horizons, I'm also teaching writing content and language editing for academics. But about me, I was born in Zimbabwe, a landlocked country in Southern Africa. Studied in South Africa and have lived in various countries before moving to Portugal, where I'm happily settled in the sunshine. Today, I hope we can help share some useful tips with you to take away and consider on your teaching journey while you make your next move. Kavi, if we can move to the next. Thank you. After this session, you should hopefully feel a little bit more confident when applying for roles and be able to focus on the things that you have, the things that you want to do with what you already have and what you need to achieve in order to get where you want to be. You'll have an idea where to focus that search and also to know how to prepare before you start the search, because I think it can be quite overwhelming when you first start. And then as well as that, have a better understanding of how to position yourself to move, where to go, why you want to go, and what you want to achieve when you're there. So that should be able to, that's today. Sometimes it's better to start with a bigger picture. So consider, where do you want to go? Decide whether you're looking for a specific region or a country, or whether you're moving for your career. If you've decided on the country or region, these answers to these questions will often help you focus that search. We have a fund of information available on the Teacher Horizons regions, countries and cities pages, and we'll happily send out links to you. Your advisors are always available to chat to and ask questions about if you have any questions about the places you think you want to go. You know, you can definitely narrow your range of focus if you've decided on a specific country, but it is advisable to do this a little bit strategically, knowing that it could limit your opportunities, as there will be fewer schools within that range that you've chosen. And you may have to be more open to the type of schools you want. If you are open to location, then definitely throw the net wide. It'll definitely give you more opportunities in terms of type of school or school and the roles. And while this approach may be daunting at first, as you go through the material available and the processes and the research, you'll soon start to figure out what you're drawn to, and what speaks to you and what really doesn't. And I think that's important to think about these things while you are looking. Once you've decided on that, and these two things can be done in conjunction, where you want to go and your reason for going. Is it taking the next step in your career? Is it looking for a new environment or trying to take on a new curriculum? And also, what would you like to do when you get to the place? What do you want to achieve? You know, the first thing might be, I want a new and exciting place to live, where the sun shines. That's why I moved to Portugal. But it might also be to do with taking a new step in a direction that helps you increase your skill set or broaden your skill set. I think the location is important, but it's also important to think about what you'll do when you're there, and also what you might do after your time in that location comes to an end. Some people move places and stay there forever. I've been in Portugal for 16 years after a 16-month contract, but others move and would like to move after 2 or 4 years, and then think about, where will this step take me to my next one, and how will this work? Again, none of this has to be set in stone. You can make a decision at the beginning and halfway through think, actually, I'd like to move somewhere that I didn't think about, or take on a curriculum that I hadn't considered. So I think it's having all of these ideas going on is really helpful, and hopefully these steps will help you figure this out. As I say, Teacher Horizons is always here to help. Now, we've talked about where and why. Now, a good question to ask is, what do I need to have to get where I want to go? Teacher Horizons has the information, we have the advisors to help you, but it helps to have the questions in mind. You know, you can say, you have to look at your qualifications. Does this work with the country you're going to? Some countries need you to have a degree in the subject that you are teaching in order to get you a visa. So does your degree match your subject? Visas may also be dependent on the amount of experience you have in teaching your subject. And so that's another thing to consider. Years of experience, subject you're teaching linked to a degree. And there might also be, and this is a touchy subject for some of us, is an age limit, which will determine whether you get a visa or not. It can be frustrating if you've been teaching for years, you have amazing experience to offer, and you continually get knocked back because of this age limit. But it's, as I've told many teachers in the past, try to look at the places that will welcome you and your experience, and try not to spend too much time on the places that are closed and have closed their doors for whatever reason, whether it's a visa or whether it's the school that has decided they want a teaching body of a certain age group. And I think you need to once you've done all of this and you've got vague answers to these questions, think about how to prepare, update your CV. Make sure you've got all the information there. You can use our CV service or search for templates on the internet. And your advisor, TH, will always be happy to provide advice on the finished product. It's also a good idea if you're a teacher who teaches more than one subject and you've decided you want to focus on one rather than the other, try and position your CV so that you've got the subject you want to teach highlighted. You'll find out more about that in the CV service. Obtain references for the last few schools you've worked at. That's really important because new schools will ask for those. And these should be from a senior leader, principal or head of school, and should come from professional email addresses wherever possible. Some schools don't have professional domains. I know in some countries in the world it can be quite tricky, but wherever you can, see if you can get that, or be able to provide some other information that will help us support it when we say these references are from personal addresses. And then think about what you would like to achieve by moving. Is it a career change, a new challenge? And think about how you will prepare for your search based on the answers to these questions. If you come to us with a whole lot of questions, we can help you clarify those thoughts when you chat to us. We might be able to give you further information that makes you think in a different way. And so, transparency, honesty is key. And listening to what you think you really want to do. Now that you've got the preparation done, what can you do in the build-up to the move? So when you start interviewing, whether you're a new teacher or a seasoned teacher, pay attention to what new schools are asking for in interviews. If you go to 3 different interviews and they all ask about, do you have CAS or MUN experience? Do you help in extracurricular activities? There might be some new interesting AI. What do you know about AI? Is there anything that you can take on at your current school that will help you in a new environment? You could shadow another teacher who's teaching a grade you have yet to teach. If that's not possible, speak to your colleagues, try and find out as much information as you can, or perhaps see if you could teach part of a curriculum you aren't familiar with. But also think about CPD you could do, whether through the school, if they're willing to put you through CPD at that point, or on your own. And this will allow you to expand your skill set to allow you to move both upwards and sideways. And I think it's good to take what you can from interviews that you have and see if trends are appearing, the questions that are being asked of you. Can you help to answer these questions better in following interviews? And one important thing, are you using the right jargon and terminology for interviews? For example, if you want to move into the IB, have you researched this program and the way it works? Again, ask us for more information, but be prepared perhaps to talk about your current lessons and activities in light of a new structure. So if you're teaching the UK curriculum, or if you're teaching a US curriculum and you want to move into IB, see how your current activities can fit into that and how you can express them perhaps in a different way. These little things will all help you hopefully gain more confidence as you move. Now, one thing we have a lot of people asking us is, I want to teach internationally, but I don't have international experience. How can I do that? What are the stepping stones to get me to the next move? Kavi, can you move to the next slide, please?
Sorry.
It's okay, thank you. Okay, so it's very frustrating this. How do I get international experience if I don't have it? There are certain things you can try. Not saying everyone has access to these, but if you can access these opportunities, I think it would be really helpful to do so. Try and gain experience at a well-known private school in your own country, or a well-known school in your own country. And especially one that might support you from the start in your teaching practices. Then maybe if you can, look for a local international school. So one that is an international school that will offer the recognized curricula such as IB, UK, or the American. and see if you can work with them, and that will help strengthen your CV. So you'll then have the curriculum on your CV, you'll have training courses, and these steps will slowly help you move towards becoming more appealing to international schools. Do include yourself in the extracurricular activities, as I mentioned, MUN or CAS, as well as running after school clubs, as this is often appealing to international schools. And I think that it just shows a breadth of experience, both in and out of the classroom, how you communicate with students. And I think this is also becoming a very important topic, is in interviews, yes, talk about yourself and what you're doing, but also talk about how you work together with the students. Because I think that's a very important, how are you factoring the students into your way of teaching? Once you've got all of these in place, then start to look outside your home country, bearing in mind the previously mentioned things in this webinar, looking at places based on your amount of experience, not just international, but your amount of experience, your subject that you're teaching, and various age, various things like that. And then working with agencies. This can be quite a minefield, years of chatting to teachers. Now, working with agencies such as Teacher Horizons and the others, there's a strategy to this, we believe. Research is definitely required to see what will work best for you. And we understand that the same model doesn't work the same for everyone. Certainly spread the net wide when you start searching. Use more than one agency if that suits you, but be organized while you do this, because schools will only accept a CV from the first place they get it. So you can't double up sending CVs. So we recommend create a spreadsheet, and on that spreadsheet track which schools you've applied to through which agencies. Consider how the different agencies work. Some of the bigger agencies may have more roles, but you might find that there's less of a personal touch, and your CV gets sent out with no prior communication and often no follow-up. So you have no way of tracking that application. Teacher Horizons is smaller, but we will communicate with you. We'll share information about the school, the country, the opportunity before sending your recommendation to the school and fast tracking it to the head. And we'll also be able to facilitate any initial conversations between you and the school. We're available to answer questions you may have within reason. Often finer points like specific remuneration or timetabling might need to be asked of the school, but wherever possible, we'll offer transparency. We'll be honest with you about the selling points of the school, and if there are any poor reviews or anything you need to watch out for, we'll also alert you to that so you can research those. So in terms of agencies, definitely look at all of them, and then as with everything, you'll soon decide which ones work. And if you prefer the personal approach, that's what we aim to provide. In summary, I feel like I've rattled through this, but retry and summarize. The most important thing is focus on what you do have and can do, not on what may be missing from your CV or something you can't change. We can't change where we were born or the year we were born. Often, if you've chosen to do a degree in economics and have become an English teacher, there's nothing we can do about that. The Middle East at the moment will only accept teachers who have got degrees in their teaching subject. So don't look to the Middle East, look at other places that will accept you. Obviously, gaining international experience is something that can be changed through time, but prepare your steps carefully and consider what you may need to do in order to be where you would like to be in the future, and also what you can change. And I think that's a really important thing to remember on this teaching journey, is that you will all have a lot to offer. And now it's to find the right place to offer it and the place that will value it. Okay, and I think, Kavi, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Katie. I think there was a lot of information, a lot of
Yes.
useful information there, and I hope that people who are joining us today also found it valuable. And we are going to move on to the next stage of this webinar, which is panel discussion. Katie is part of the panel as well. She's here to answer questions because we know there's a lot of questions around things that she talked about, or maybe other topics related to international teaching journeys. Nicole is also joining us as a panelist. And then we have, for the first time ever, a couple of our Teacher Horizons ambassadors who are ambassadors at their school, and their Teacher Horizons ambassadors joining us. And it's Samuel and Jonathan. I will let them introduce themselves a little bit as well when they answer their first question. But I do want to see where Samuel and Jonathan are, because I actually cannot see everyone because I'm sharing screen. So Samuel and Jonathan, could you just wave if you are with us?
They're here and ready to go.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Maybe they wrote that on chat. I'm not looking at it right now. Okay, so in terms of asking questions, if you have any question at any time, just write it on chat. We will start with some very commonly asked questions, and then as we see your questions in chat, we're going to throw those at our panelists and we'll go from there. Okay, so the first question is, when and how should I follow up on my application, whether it's a direct application or through Teacher Horizons? Who would like to take on this one? Yes.
I can do that, Kavi,
Yes,
if you would
please.
like. I think if you've applied through Teacher Horizons and we have fast-tracked your application to the school, we usually give the school a week to 10 days before we chase them. And then we would, if you nudge us, we would then ask the schools. Obviously, if you have already got interviews in the pipeline, and this is a school that you're particularly keen on, there is some leeway to that. And we can always say, look, this candidate's brilliant for this role, has also got other interviews going on. So we can change that. If you've applied directly and you haven't heard anything, you're quite within your rights to email the school and just follow up and say, I sent my CV through at this point. Do you have any feedback for me? They may or may not respond, but I think maybe if you give it a week is probably a fair amount of time. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that, Nicole or Kavi.
Totally agree.
Great, thank you. As I said before, yes, Sam, please. And also, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, hi, I'm Sam Levitro. I'm currently in Shenzhen, China, and I have experience mostly in Shenzhen, China, many years, but also in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. And I teach social studies. I've taught a bit of English, and I'm currently teaching swimming. So wide variety there. I would just want to mention that a lot of schools will not reply at all. So you will send a CV, and even if you maybe ask to follow up, they won't reply. So I've had that experience many, many times. So don't be discouraged.
No, thank you for sharing that, Sam. I think it's good to be realistic as well. Like just know what to expect, and that it's actually normal that they don't reply, and you just keep moving forward. So that's a great insight. Thank you. The next question is actually for our ambassadors, and because they are teachers there on the ground, and I would love to learn from them about this one. What are some ways in which I can learn more about the school other than their website? So Sam or Jonathan, if you would like to give us some insight on that one.
So I'll just go first quickly. I think talking to people that you might know in the city is a really good way. So, if you only know someone who's in that country, that might be one way to start. But if you know someone in the city, certainly if you know someone at the school, that's always the best way, because you get the most unfiltered information. Another way is international school reviews. I'm not sure if that's the exact name of that website, but there's a website with reviews, and many of them are negative, but take everything with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think talking to people who are in this country and or city, and certainly at the school, is a good way. Facebook also probably has a lot of links and ways you can connect with people who are in that country, city, or school.
Thank you, Sam. Jonathan, do you have anything to add?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan. I work here in São Paulo, Brazil, in an IB school. I have international experience in Asia and Africa and around the world, really. I would completely agree with what Sam said, like asking some people that live in the same community or the same city is one of the best ways to definitely find out more about a school. At the same time, there's a Facebook group that I find really useful called Teachers on the Move Internationally. And you can use the search bar to kind of search for any school that you might have been applying to. And usually, more often than not, someone has already worked there or can give you some insight into their experience there.
Great, thank you so much, Jonathan and Sam. Some really useful insights there. Yeah, I've seen that group as well. It's very active, and we also sometimes post job positions there. And one other way, in addition to everything that was mentioned, is to look at the community tab on our school pages on Teacher Horizons, and also try and reach out and talk to ambassadors, which is what Jonathan and Sam are. And they're there to share about their schools, about their community and their country. So that's another way, is to like try reading those community questions and answers, and maybe ask us if you can talk to an ambassador at the school, because they would be happy to. Okay, I think there is a couple. I just want to remind everyone that please, if you have any questions, you can put them on the chat, and then we will take them on. This is your chance to ask questions to teachers who are teaching right now, have been on a journey, and Nicole has actually been a principal as well, so we have that perspective as well. And of course, Katie is our speaker who's shared some insights as well. I do see a question. I worked international schools locally and have about 8 years of IB PYP. I'm currently not in an IB school because I wanted some experience.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm interjecting at this point. I can hardly hear you. I apologize. I've been straining my ear, but I struggle. Please forgive me, but I just want to benefit from the meeting. Thank you.
Sorry to hear that, Daniel. I am close to my mic because my mic is my webcam. So I'm going to be much closer now and just be a little bit louder. I hope that works. Okay, I'll finish the question. I'm currently not in an IB school because I wanted some experience in Common Core. What are my chances of being employed internationally that is outside my country? Would any one of the panelists would like to take that question?
Katie, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, yes, I can. How that's a difficult one to answer. So you've taught in PYP and you've now got Common Core experience. I guess it depends on how much of the, if you've got a set amount of PYP and you've now got 2 years of Common Core, I think that really helps. That adds to your CV. So it should be, that will give you 2 different types of school to apply for, 2 different types of role. You'll be able to apply for US schools that need Common Core, or you could apply to schools that are looking for PYP. So I think that probably gives you a greater opportunity to teach outside your own country. It also will depend, I'm imagining that this is done within international schools. If these teaching posts are within international schools, that you're kind of moving up that stepping stone, or along the stepping stones, as we mentioned. Not sure that answers the question.
Kavi, can I come in and respond to some questions happening in the chat right now, which has been coming back to the reason why not to doubly apply or apply multiple times to the same school. So in my experience as principal, it can be very challenging if you have a really big number of applications to sort through, and actually you're spending your time investing in finding the right applicant, as opposed to trying to go through several hundred applications. And you have to use your time wisely. And often if you are receiving by email, and then also through Teacher Horizons, also through another platform, you start to notice the same names coming up, and that feels a little bit like harassment. But gently said, but that can not give the right impression. And what we want to make sure is that each application is really strategic and tailored to that job at the school. So you want to presenting yourself in a way that's really constructive and positive. So from the other side, I can say that it doesn't support your application if it's coming across as being too frequent or not with the right tone. So I would say that from the other side of the fence.
Thank you, Nicole. Okay, can I just also add to that? Sorry, perhaps I wasn't clear. That's a very good point. The other side is the more practical. I think there's an unwritten rule with schools and agencies where schools will only accept the CV from the first place, because they won't, imagine if they are paying search associates and they receive the CV for search associates, they've already paid that fee. They will not pay twice for the same CV. So this also applies if you've applied directly to the school. If you apply directly to a school, we then recommend you. The school is very likely to come back and say, we've got the candidate CV on our database, and that's the end of our influence or our conversation. They are under no obligation to tell us what they will do with the CV and whether they're going to progress with it. So I think both of those, it's really interesting to hear from the principal side, from Nicole, from your side, how that comes across, and then from our side, how the school responds to us based on that. So I hope those two clarify.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. There was one question that is related to something that we also thought is a commonly asked question, but I don't know if we've already addressed it, which is how many applications can be open at a time, or how many applications I can make at a time. Did we address that one already?
Nope, not yet. Let's go.
Want me to take that?
Should we ask our ambassadors? How, when you were applying for jobs, did you just apply for one and hope for the best, or did you keep applying to ones that interested you? Sam and Jonathan, do you want to start?
Applied a lot. Lots of effort.
Likewise.
And how did you manage that? How did you keep track and strategize?
Yeah, I had an Excel sheet just listing the places I'd applied, and I had a collection of slightly different cover letters and the different schools and just the various factors for my wife and I. Yeah, I mean, everyone can do it a different way, but I don't think you should limit yourself and think, oh, I really want this school, so I'm only going to send this one and wait 2 weeks. And yeah, if the timing is right, if it's hiring season, go for it, and cast a wide net.
Jonathan, do you want to add anything to
that? Absolutely the same. Maybe I'm not as organized as I don't have a spreadsheet, but it's a great idea moving forward.
Don't limit yourselves, basically, everybody. We've just got a quick question here from Austin about, he says, is Teacher Horizons a platform where opportunities are published? And if so, how do I sign up so that I can be getting updates? So, Katie, do you want to take that one as an advisor there?
Yes, you sorry, could you repeat your question?
Yeah, Nicole? It's about if Teacher Horizons is a platform, how do, for publicizing job opportunities, how do people engage with it?
Okay, so you would have to have a profile with Teacher Horizons, and on that profile you can select to receive job updates. And I think every 2 weeks there's a job update email sent out that lists the new jobs that are there. You'll also get emails from the subject advisor that are sent to candidates who have the right experience and qualifications, often for roles that they're looking for teachers for. So those will go out from the advisors, and then the other one you would need to sign up for on your profile.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm also seeing people actually answering some other people's questions, which I love. Like, that's what I like about our community. Like, people are supporting each other and helping. And Sam, thank you as well for answering in chat as well. I love their conversations. One question that I think applies to everyone, and because Sam I think mentioned cover letters as well. What makes a CV and a profile stand out?
Nicole, do you want to?
Sure. I knew you were going to go for me. Okay.
I'm tired of my voice.
In the recruitment processes that I've been involved in, I think sometimes something that applicants can get sidetracked in creating a CV is making it is focusing on how aesthetic and visually appealing it is. And actually the emphasis that can be distracting when looking at a CV. Yes, you want it to stand out, but you don't want it to distract from the quality of your own experience and offering. So I would say in terms, if you're submitting a CV, lay it out clearly, make sure that the font size is readable, that you are not trying to fill every single blank space, but that you are really focusing in on the value that you have brought to roles previously in your current role. In terms of applying for a teaching role, I would focus in on what are the things that you have done differently or achieved that has made your contribution different to other people's. In every teaching role, you plan. In every teaching role, you support students, you assess. So what is it that you have learned how to do differently or have created to add extra value to students' experience? So look for ways and try and identify what you have done that has brought something different. Don't just, if you're explaining what you did in your job, don't just go for the classic plan, teach, assess. Look for other ways to make that more relevant to what you have done. And I think that if you're doing a CV, the profile summary at the top can really grab the attention. So I would focus in on that being the aspect that you're being creative in. And I think also clarity on what it is that is important to you, what your values are, because ultimately, if you are looking for an international move, that's a huge life change and a huge investment in your own time and energy. So making sure that you're going somewhere that aligns with your own values is really important. So making sure that you are communicating what your values are, what your priorities are as a professional, in your CV or in your profile is really key to making sure that you are then creating the right match between you as a teacher and the school as a hiring body.
Thank you, Nicole. Would any of the other panelists like to add to that? Or we're good?
No, I think that's perfect.
Great. Thank you so much for that. So I am looking at the time, and we really like to give opportunity for our attendees and our community members to also connect with each other through breakout rooms. And that is what we're going to do next. And I think it's important to give that the time that it deserves as well. And there was one question that I was going to look at, but thank you again, Sam, for answering in chat. And I think that's a perfect answer to that question about sponsorship not available when you're applying in the UK. That was one question that I saw. If you do have other questions, you can always reach out to us at info@teacherhorizons.com, and our international advisors are here to help you. So to get a little bit more of a personal attention as well. We will move on now. And well, before that, I do want to say thank you to Katie and Nicole for being our panelists, and special and big thank you to Sam and Jonathan, because they're volunteering their time. They don't have to do this, but they're here because they like to give back to the international teaching community. We really appreciate it. Thank you both.
Very grateful. Thank you both. Really pleased that you joined.
Okay, moving on to breakout rooms. Just a couple simple prompts. As you can see, introduce yourself, where you're now, what's your role, where are you considering for the next international move, and then just simply share some other thoughts that you have around whatever we've discussed so far in the keynote speaker presentation or in the panel discussion, and just connect with your colleagues who are in different parts of the world.
Thank you, Kavi. Okay, this year Teacher Horizons has launched a kind of career coaching service that will act as a sounding board for you to discuss your thought, among other things, act as a sounding board for you to discuss thoughts, obtain advice on your career. It also involves discussing possible interview strategies and various other things about where you would like your career to go. Whether you're a new teacher or one with loads of experience, you know, we'd be very happy to support you. You can read more about this on the web page, which we will send round afterwards, along with a link to the CV service that we offer. So I think these two can work quite well in conjunction, the career coaching and the CV service. Alternatively, you can drop me an email. We'll send this around in the follow-up email too, and I'll be happy to help and to share more information with you. So I think that's all from me for now.
And just one thing in the end is, before you leave, this is sort of an exit ticket for this session, is to please fill out a feedback survey. And I just put the link in the chat right now. It's a Google form. It'll literally take you like 20 seconds to fill out. We appreciate if you can fill out this exit survey, this feedback form for our webinars, because we want to make these as valuable and relevant to our community members, and we hope that you found it valuable. So when you're done filling up the form, you can do it right now. You're free to go, because this is the end of the session, and we're really glad that everyone joined today, and we hope that it was valuable for everyone. And thanks again to our panelists. Thanks again to Samuel and Jonathan for joining us as our ambassadors.